Good morning, guys. It's the February Oregon Norton Enthusiasts Club meeting today. It's a little too wet, unfortunately, outside, so we're having a visit to the club meeting. I'm going to drive over there, but afterwards we're having a tech session at George's place. We're calling it Tool Time. So George, the tool man's going to give a demonstration of some of the Norton tools that he uses in his restorations, and then it's going to be a two-part series because Dennis has kindly offered to give us a demonstration of claying and polishing this gas tank and side panels off my Commando as well. So here they are, and they're in very nice original condition. I just love the patina with this bike, but he's kindly offered to just spruce them up a little bit. Obviously not restoring them, but cleaning them up a bit more using his clay polish technique. Yeah, as you can see, there's quite a little bit of crazing on the paintwork. I'm sure he won't be able to remove that, but hopefully we'll be able to clean them up a little bit and polish them. This is the Mark IIA side cover down here, with a very distinguishable recess here in the bottom right hand corner, and that's for the dessous fastener that holds the cover to the bike.
It's like misty, is that one of them? Is that one of them? One of them.
Hey Sean, awesome. Great to see you.
It's great to be seen, finally. So what are your stratus again? It's 66.
Got the little pony you got on it?
Yeah, that's what it came. I mean, when I bought it, that's what it came. I got it in midnight. Oh, you have a logo? Yeah. But
Still needs some work, huh?
Clutch still needs some adjustment.
Yeah.
Style tank, only is the tank shorter?
The tank's short.
Yeah, it doesn't have the skirt on the bottom.
Up at the top.
Yeah. liner, you know, had that, it just has a part, because mine are fiberglass. Right. The stock one just. Most of the tools here that I have out are tools you would need if you were going to do a complete restoration. You could get away with doing a restoration without these tools, but it makes life a lot easier and it makes the job a lot faster. You're not having to use pry bars when you can use a puller, for example. And you're not using as many swear words. Most of these are Norton. Some of these are Triumph here. And when I did this bike, when I first restored this bike, I had chromed these. I had these re-chromed, even though they came chromed. The chrome was marginal. I mean, I re-chromed everything on this bike. Even these are Barnett levers, and they came chromed, but I re-chromed them because I didn't like the finish. I wanted shell chrome as opposed to their more industrial chrome. Wow. So, but that's just another fetish issue. You don't go into that. That's a talk.
Still,
your term, George.
Yeah.
Hey, George.
So there's a few tools here. I'm gonna hold a few tools up and ask guys if you know what it is. We'll do a little test here.
All right.
You guys can figure out what some of these things are, just for fun of it. But before that, I want to go over a few of the homemade tools that I have. So I mentioned this one tool here. Before I had a slide hammer to pull out the points, for an example, I would make something like this, and then you could put a pry bar on it. Simple things like that. Tools like little wrenches like this. This one is actually, can anybody guess what this might be used for?
it's got a rubber
insert.
Well, that's not the key, but that's part of it.
Removing
it's this
sparking out of the sleeve.
There's two pins there.
Well, it works really well. Have you ever tried to get these off?
Oh.
Screwed on tight, so this fits right over that, and it works the little slots here, so it works for that really well.
You don't chip the paint up there.
Well, just because you're trying to, and then you gouge something, you know.
Yeah.
So you can make
Nice.
so a helmet tool. You can make something like that yourself. Okay, who can guess what this tool is? Another homemade tool. Electric start. I'll give you a guess. Electric start.
Yeah, it's for softies, electric
All right.
starts. I don't know.
Electric start. There's a anti-kickback mechanism in the electric start, and what this does, you have to torque it to 50 pounds, the mechanism, and this is actually part of the mechanism that you use as a wrench, and I had it welded to a socket. And so you can put a torque wrench on this and torque it to 50 pounds. It's supposed to slip at 50 pounds. It's supposed to give at 50 pounds. So you have to keep tightening it until it gets to that point, and then this is just to test the torque, so you can see if it's at 50 pounds. These are great tools here. You can buy these online. You can get these on Amazon. This is good for front disc brake.
The hydraulic cover.
Yeah, for pulling out the plugs when you want to do that. It's also for brake, rear brake stuff, and it has multiple uses. You can also buy it in this form to remove, and it's basically a nut.
Yes.
So you can get it in a travel version, or you can get it in a
That works good on an impact.
It just works for several different parts of the bike, which is really good. Yes, but
So
what you're doing is especially on Triumphs or on early Nortons that have the shrouds like this, because you can't, how do you get the fork tubes up into the top? You gotta pull them up. Remember we were talking about that on your bike when we were doing yours. And I said, you have one of these tools, but we didn't need it on yours because it has the exposed, if you have the gaiters, it's harder, because that covers the fork tube. But this allows you to put this down inside, and you can draw the fork tube up until the taper. Otherwise, it's how do you get the fork tube up there, because it all wants to collapse inside the shroud. So, and Triumphs are the same thing, because the Triumphs are all covered, so you really don't have access. So this is what that, and you can, these are different ones for Triumph than BSA and Norton, so it's same tool for different functions. Ronnie had just gotten himself a thing. This is another handmade tool, just standard material bent, and for the clutch spring and ring compressors. These are really good. Two different sizes, Triumph or 850 and 750 basically for these. Adjusting, like for doing your adjusting valve clearance. You can buy the feeler gauges like this that come in the two sizes you need, front and exhaust and intake, and the little adjuster here. So it locks it and adjusts it all in one little wrench, which is really handy. Slide hammer, like we mentioned before, and this kind of stuff here. This is all for top dead centering. One goes in the spark plug hole for Norton, and you can see right when you get to top dead center, it has little little marks on it. The other one is a Triumph one, and it actually goes down into the crank, one of the holes in the crank, and sets it right at top dead center. Crank pinion puller. If you've had that apart, you'll know it has a washer behind it that's triangular shaped, and this allows you, the triangular shape allows this to fit where the washer isn't, and you can get behind the gear and then pull it out. For pulling the rocker shafts after the covers are off, keeps it centered. Engine stand. These are readily available. You could make. I've seen different types made, and I always keep a bag of. These are all for slave bolts. For putting the motor together initially until I put the final bolts in, and I have the engine stand. It's nice to have it. It keeps it upright. It keeps it in position. You can work on it. So you can lock them in a vise too. That's another way to do it, but it's a little hard to do. But good set of torque wrenches is always, imperative to have. I know I bought good ones because I don't always trust. You're only talking 25, 30 pounds, and you want it to be accurate. Because the last motor I built, I broke 2 studs. That I had them plated. I had all this stuff zinc plated. And they didn't harden it properly, and I broke 2 studs.
Was that on my motor?
No, yours was okay.
He didn't tighten
Did they
it
break
down.
yet?
It was on yours.
No, did they break yet?
You used super glue on yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't use a torque wrench.
No, I just left it.
Yeah,
Left them
just
off.
nipped him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's enough of that kind of question.
They're just real light.
He said
that.
it went a bit soft and he backed it up.
This is mostly chain stuff here, chain pullers, and Sam will know this tool now. The oil cable.
Cable.
Anybody can. Mike might know what that one is, but anybody know what that is?
Rear wheel.
alignment.
Yeah,
That's
the chain
just-
alignment. Yeah,
Chain alignment.
which I think I've used once. Okay, here's a good one.
Girling.
Paperweight.
Girling.
This is a spring compressor for your rear shocks, which is really difficult to do if you don't have the. It takes 2 people. If you have 2 people and one person can pull down while you pull the collets out, but that makes it life a lot easier. So, and of course you know what this is. It's a spring compressor for your head. The chain tools. I like to have. This is a good thing. I just keep a length of chain because sometimes when you're pulling nuts off the main sprocket and you need, I can wrap this around and put a vice grips on it and have it hit the vice so I can torque it off, loosen the bolts up. Always good to have a length of chain. You probably know what these are.
Thank you.
You have to have you have to do wire. If you do, I know somebody's today the bike they had their exhaust nuts wired. Of course, manuals. You got to have the right manuals. You can the Haynes manual is probably the best mountain or manual that's not OEM, but the original ones are good. I use a combination of both. I have shop copies that I use that are dirty copies that I've made prints of the main ones. These are my new ones that I look at when I'm in the house and my hands are clean. Yeah. And I've got every manual for every model, Norton and most Triumphs. So you got to have the manuals though to do the job. And I found that OldBritts. This is mostly OldBritts. This is almost all OldBritts tech articles in here that have. He's really good. Fred's gone through and he's documented really well a lot of the little steps. They have a pre-tech thing on building a head or stuff like that. So I really recommend using them for your technical articles. He's really good at it, and he shows you some shortcuts and stuff. It's really useful. And that's about it. It's of course you have to have the standard wrenches and and our bikes we use pretty much standard, but you're going to need a certain amount of Whitworth tools and wrenches and stuff. And I pretty much have 2 sizes of every wrench because sometimes you have 2 nuts the same, and you're going to need a wrench on each end. And so I try to make sure I have enough wrenches. And I love tools anyway. I'm kind of a hobby to have tools, and it's kind of fun. Lots of little stuff, just stuff you'll learn over the years. But yeah, that's it. You got it.
Thank you.
All right.
Very
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good.
Very nice.
Now, what's going on with the tank over?
Well, that's going to be next. So Denny's going to give a demonstration on claying and polishing.
But first we're going to hang it up and use it as a piñata, right? To get the proper...
Yeah. First I'm going to hand out hammers.
Yes.
Oh, I got hammers.
Oh, he's brought the hammer.
Because metric's always twice the size, right?
Yeah.
Then sorry, a Whitworth. It's a Whitworth hammer.
That's a Whitworth hammer.
Now, the metric hammers are either too large,
My wife Sarah.
too small,
Hi, Sarah.
or they're just plain wrong. So metric is always too large, too small, or just wrong. And then of course there's the alternative hammer.
That's to get the oil filter off, I believe, right?
And then, I'm going to pass these around for people to tell me what they are.
We're going to demo is the removal of contaminants that float down from the air and stick on car finishes or any kind of finish. And it is virtually impossible to get it off with wax or buffing or polishing. The way you get it off is to use clay. This is paint, clay, and Mike's tank is a little bit rugged. It has a lot of paint problems, which is lacquer, it looks like, but it's not. Doesn't have a lot of contaminants on it. But if you come up here and put your hand in the bag, just slip your hand in the bag and go across it. It doesn't have a lot of contaminants. Normally, it would be absolutely magnified, and you would just feel all of these bumps like crazy. This is pretty smooth. I'm a little surprised. The way you do it is you use a lubricant, in this case, instant detailer, and clay. And the way that you work the clay is always fore and aft. And anytime you work on a finish, car finish, bike finish, you never do any of these circular. You see these guys giving demos and they're just going like this. Well, that's where your swirl marks come from when you do this. You only go fore and aft.
You should do that with polish or wax as well, Mr. Babb.
Yeah, fore and aft,
circular
okay?
motions.
So, and the other key to the clay is you don't put any pressure on it. You let it do the work itself. You merely glide it, and it should come up a bit black, though this doesn't seem to have a lot on it. I thought it might have more, but I want everybody to come up here and give it a try. Come on up and just hold on to just fore and aft. Just back, no pressure, just guide it. You could do it more vigorously than that. Go ahead a little bit more. Okay, you see how that works? I mean, how easy it is.
Okay, you can almost feel something going away.
And if there are clumps on there, you will feel it.
So now what's in here?
This is just a detailer, a lubricant. Okay. And you go ahead. And if you drop it, you have to throw it away because guarantee it's going to pick up the most minute gravel on the ground. You just throw it away.
Wow.
The main thing is it just doesn't require any pressure. But I'm going to just give this a real quick one all over. Come on, you guys, feel this real quick. That's the surface that we got from it.
Much better, yeah.
Just
What's that one? What's that product?
It's called Complete Compound.
Okay.
And it's a polish, you don't leave it on, you wipe it off right away. Again, the same procedure, fore and aft only. If this was a stage one, we would start getting a black color from the tank paint. If it's a clear coat, of course, you don't get anything.
And this doesn't stay on very long?
No, polish you wipe off right away. Wax you let dry.
Use a microfiber cloth to
Yes,
wipe it off.
absolutely.
Do you guys clean microfiber cloths just in a washing machine?
You put them in a washing machine, you can use regular soap, but when you put them in the dryer, you don't put any downy or softener in it, because that transfers onto the micro and goes onto your wax product.
They don't have a.
Okay, feel that, boys, see what you think. This is a synthetic wax. Keeps your paint shining in all its glory, achieves the most awe-inspiring wet look finish this side of a paint booth. Blah, blah, blah. The reason I know some of this stuff is my buddy sells his product here in Portland, and I would go over and help him out. And I'm no big authority, I just learned some of this stuff
You learn it, yeah.
through doing it, which I use for myself. This is a guy who's we got a little bit of improvement on that.
Yeah, for sure.
We're real good at the soul. Not underneath these lights.
I got very few of these tools because most of them too big for me to comfortable.
We can do this anytime. You guys want to bring a bike or two over? We would do it on the bike, it doesn't make any difference. It's real easy. All right, Mike, I think.
Thank you
That's
very much.
fantastic.
Thank you
we've reached
very
it.
much.
This one picked up some.
Oh yeah.
You can see some of the junk.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we didn't feel with our hand.
I did originally, but I think I just put some.
Oh, okay.
They look great, Dennis.
That's a start.
Thank you so much.
I think they're pretty sweet. And they'll look good, adjustable.
In their old technology, you could put one together and have everything.